I am Chris Morley, and we are at Mason's Brewing Company on the waterfront in Brewer, Maine.
Hey all, Amanda here, and welcome to entry 76 of Great Beer Adventure. Today I have the privilege of meeting back up with Chris. Do you remember when he came on the show last New Year's? If you haven't listened to the show in a while, press pause and go check it out. greatbeeradventure.com/027. I'll wait for you right here. Welcome back. Let's jump in to hear what Chris has to say about Mason's now.
That started, probably about 5 years ago. My wife and I have been traveling in pursuit of craft beer most of our adult life, and I had a midlife crisis when I turned 40, and I thought that I could bring something unique and different to this region, and start to maybe hopefully trend in a direction that Portland has been trending in the last 10 years. The brewery right now is a 6,800 square foot facility. It's a 20-barrel brew house. We have the capacity to seat 135 people in our beer hall and an additional 165 people outside on our deck that faces the Penobscot River and the waterfront concert stage. We currently offer about 13 different styles. We can 4 different styles of beers, our Saison, our Rogan, our IPA, and our West Coast Pils. And we are in a 3-week canning rotation right now with Ironheart. So we kind of do a bunch of different hybrids. We do a couple Belgian-style beers and then put an American twist to it. Our Farmhouse Saison is hopped with Citra, but we use a traditional Belgian yeast for that. We do a Rogan beer, which is a 60% German rye beer, which has had huge traction down in Portland. We put both those 2 beers are in cans. Overall, our beers are more, from a stylistic standpoint, they're more of a session style approach, where they're relatively low in ABV, but have unique characteristics to them to make them appealing to where you'd want to sit down and have 2 or 3 at a time. What sets us apart, I think, are 3 things. I think we make beer that is a very baseline that is attractive to many people. We've got a great pub menu. And we've got a location on the riverfront like no other. So I think those 2 or 3 concepts kind of make for why we've had a pretty good run so far. What I wanted to bring back from our travels was to make a location desirable for people to want to travel to and spend time to, and not, separate ourselves. Not that there's anything wrong with some of the other platforms, but I wanted people to walk away with an experience like they've never had any place else in the state. And I think if you come here, it's not like anything else that you find in the state. But I think all 84 breweries in the state of Maine kind of inspire us to go in different directions. Today, when we tape this, we're having Barreled Souls come up. And that's interesting to us because it's not really a way of brewing that we've really encompassed yet. But we're kind of looking to do something along that lines down the road. The inspiration came from, I'm from upstate New York, the Cooperstown area, and I watched Omegon grow from a little barn into this huge mythical creature. And, everybody does. I mean, and I'd leave people out if I didn't name everybody. But, Maine is so unique now that we, the East Coast, Maine specifically, is now leading the way in craft beer in the way that the West Coast was 10 years ago. And it's my hope that we can be at the forefront of this as not so much as a pioneer, but just a catalyst for people to attract more people to this region to enjoy great craft beer in a great setting. Last night we had our first beer pairing event. We had 50 people show up. It was what we call collaboration, where we brought in another chef from another restaurant. In the same ways that brewers collaborate with each other, we had our chefs collaborate with another chef off-site, and we had a very, very interesting meal. And people enjoyed themselves to the point where I think we're going to make this a reoccurring event probably every 4 to 6 weeks.
Now that we know all about the brewery and the beers, let's find out about Chris's first beer memory.
First beer memory, well, I think my first beer memory goes way back to when I was, in my younger years, sharing a beer with my grandfather after fishing. But probably one of the more unique beer experiences I had, we were in Bruges, Belgium, and I was at a bar called Cambrunis, and I was sitting there drinking beers, and my wife had left and went over to get some waffles, and a gentleman across the way was kind of staring me down, and I had a Yankees hat on. No, I had a University of Maine hat on, and he had a Colby hat on. And so we struck up a very unique conversation. And at the end of the day, we ended up walking out of there with all the Westvet that they had in the bar. So I think they had 7 bottles left. He took 4 and I took 3. And that was fun.
A huge thank you to Chris and the entire team up at Mason's. It was such a pleasure. I even learned a new term. I forget how to pronounce it quite often, actually, but I think it is decoction. Thank you to Forrest, Mason's head brewer, for explaining the process and reminding me what it is called at least 10 times. Listeners, be sure to check out the show notes by going to greatbeeradventure.com/076 to find links to everything Mason's. Join me next week as we continue our long show series on kiddos and beer. If you all are fabulous co-adventurers would like to support the show, check out our Patreon page. For less than the cost of a beer, you can show us some love. Go to greatbeeradventure.com/support. If you want to see even more from our adventures, follow us on Instagram @GreatBeerAdventure. And be sure to subscribe to the show. That way, you won't miss a thing. Great Beer Adventure is part of the Great Pint Society. Cheers.